3D Sportscast, episode 5? Yeah, this is episode 5.
Because we missed a week, so it's week 7.
It's
but
week
whatever.
7.
That's okay.
Going into week 8, but episode 5.
Yep.
So we have a lot to talk about. Another weird week.
Both our teams continue to suck.
Yes.
Although it's expected of my team. We weren't going to win anything, and we knew that.
My team.
You guys were supposed to win the Super Bowl.
My team is the most and it's been like this. It's crazy. It's really been like this for the past several years, where it's the most inconsistent. Like we can dominate one week, and then
it seems like you guys play to the level of whoever you're playing.
We do, and I don't.
So like you play the Browns. Well, not the Browns.
The Browns are actually played
pretty good.
Okay, the Patriots this week.
Yeah, the
We'll get to
Patriots.
that.
There you go. Yeah,
Playing like trash.
Yeah,
and
the
then,
garbage teams, and you play like garbage. You play the good teams, and you play good.
They're losing. Oh, maybe they're good now in the fourth quarter when it's too
well,
late.
Yeah, it's too late.
We'll get into that later, but yes, there's a lot to dive into.
It's really unfortunate for you guys.
It is. There's a lot to talk about there, but we can, I guess, just start with the Thursday night game.
Yep, Thursday night, the Jaguars at the Saints. Jaguars looking pretty good. Like,
yeah, 5-2. I mean, we both picked the Jaguars in this game, so we started off with a right pick. It's not gonna go well, as you'll see.
We went downhill quick.
We at least started out
picks.
with a good pick. I mean, the Saints competed in this game. It was actually an interesting game to watch, but the Jaguars there's nothing. The thing with the Jaguars, there's nothing really like crazy good or flashy about them. They just win games.
They do. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has started to look pretty good. He seems to be getting more comfortable with himself. This game, I definitely think he continuing to look good.
ETN's looked good too.
Yeah, he really has. Really, the Jaguars as a whole have started to look pretty good. You can tell I think they're still a few pieces away from really being a powerhouse. Although 5-2, they have tied for the second best record in the NFL with 8 other teams, but still.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a good position right now, and they don't play in a strong division either, so that
really aids
helps them too.
The fact that they play bad teams, not bad teams, but that they're not in a super strong division. There's no powerhouse team there.
So they're in a good spot, and I think I don't know really what to talk about other than it was a good game. Saints are a decent team, but they're another team that you just
they're kind of a fringe team. I think at the beginning of the year, everyone expected them to be a lot better, bringing in Derek Carr, getting a few weapons in the offseason to help them play better. I don't think it's quite clicked as much as they would have hoped it would have. Alvin Kamara has not. Kamara.
Well, he was suspended at the beginning of the year, if I remember right.
Yeah, he was.
He's come back.
He hasn't quite been back to his mid-season form.
He had some moments where he looked good, but... I don't know. I mean, Derek Carr, he threw 300 yards, but he also threw 55 passes.
Yeah, and you throw 55 passes.
And the interesting thing is, I know it kind of went viral. There was a time with Chris Olave where it was, I think, a third down play, and he threw it like 30 yards out of bounds. And then he's screaming at his receivers, which... I don't know
what it could have been something unrelated. Maybe the route was supposed to be different.
Mind you, maybe he threw it out of bounds because the route, but something was off because he seemed the whole game. He seemed mad and upset at stuff. That was the one that really stood out because he was. I mean, mind you, it did look like he slowed up on his route, but then he chucked it like way out of bounds. I was like, I don't know.
He didn't slow down. There was still no way.
I mean, so I don't know.
Well, the thing is, I don't care if your receivers don't run the right routes. I get it makes leading them hard because you don't know what they're going to do. But as a good QB, you should be able to tell, hey, that's a different route. Oh, they're probably doing this. You should still be able to
and
throw a good pass.
And again, that goes back to the youth and inexperience. And again, I think Derek Carr is now a veteran quarterback, a guy who...
As long as he's been in the league.
He's now with a new team who was supposed to be decent. And I think this started...
I don't think they look bad, but it's definitely not what they wanted it to be.
And I think this record is, not what they wanted to be at or where they wanted to be at. And I think it's... Obviously, I think Carr had expectations as well, and it's just not that it's bad, but it just hasn't gone how they want.
It's not what anyone wants.
No.
Kind of an interesting stat from this game. Kamara is it Kamara or Kamara?
I've heard both.
I'm going to go with Kamara.
Yeah, I've heard both.
Alvin. He actually had more receiving yards this game than he did rushing yards. I seen that. I was like, that's kind of funny.
That's the other problem, is that it seemed like majority of Derek Carr's completions were just checkdowns to Kamara.
Yeah.
Because, and again, I don't know mind you, Jacksonville's defense played pretty good, I think. But I mean,
the thing is with people like
they were not taking shots down the field.
Chris Olave, he's young, but he's a very talented receiver. Yeah. But when you like Michael Thomas is on the team, you have Hill. I know it's T Hill, not Tyreek Hill, but
yeah, Taysom Hill.
Still,
Taysom Hill,
he's still pretty good.
I'm still trying to figure out what position he is though, because he can play receiver, he plays tight end, he plays running back.
He's just wherever they need
him at the time.
Yeah.
Quarterback.
But the thing is, it's not like he doesn't have people on the team who can catch the ball. Like Michael Thomas is very good. Granted, he's getting kind of old.
Yeah, and I know a lot of.
And Olave's young, but still.
My problem is that it seemed like obviously you, as a quarterback, you want to take what the defense gives you. You don't want to force things. But at the same time, it comes a point where you do got to take shots. And it seemed like for a majority of the game until the end, the Saints were very conservative. That's why Kamara got so many catches, because they were just dumping it down the head. I mean, just very conservative play on offense. And so, I don't know. We'll see what happens as the season goes on with these teams. But Jacksonville definitely looked like the better team. And now it ended up being a good game in the end, but Jacksonville does win.
I'm definitely excited to see how Jacksonville comes out at the end of the year. They seem to be doing very good. I'm kind of excited for them.
Too, as long as they don't do too good. But they're in the AFC.
Yeah,
so.
you don't want them to do too good.
You know, I mean, we'll see. It'll be interesting.
I'm kind of rooting for them just because I don't think anybody expected them to be as good as they have been.
Jacksonville's a team, too, that, you know, they made that run, that odd run with Blake Bortles to the AFC Championship to lose to the Patriots.
Oh, yeah.
And then
they just didn't do anything.
They fell apart. And all of a sudden, they're back at the...
I forgot about Blake Bortles.
Yeah. Well, they had 1 year where they made a great run, and then they were just complete garbage. And then they got Trevor Lawrence. They were... Obviously, his rookie year was a struggle, but then quickly they built this team back up
really
again.
Have.
You know? So, Jacksonville's an interesting team.
Very interesting, but... yeah, I'm excited to see, honestly, both of these teams. I think we both had the Saints...
I think both these teams win in their divisions. Now, mind you, like we said, they both play in kind of weaker divisions, both in the, Saints in the NFC South, Jaguars in the AFC South. But I think, we'll get into it earlier or a little bit later, but I think Falcons and Buccaneers game, I think that decided the current leader of that division, which is very close in the NFC South. I think the Falcons won that game, right? On a last-minute field goal. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But that division's still up in the air, too. So the Saints are right in
a lot of the divisions, there's not... I mean, obviously, some of them you have divisions where people are pulling away
I think the one that's the most right now is the NFC North with the Lions way ahead. But we'll get to that, too, but they got blown out.
They got beat.
Too, so you never know. It's NFL... As you can see, our predictions, it's so hard to predict. As we'll get to your team now.
I need to stop picking my team to win.
The New York Giants beat the Washington Commanders. A low-scoring game. It's a division game. As we talked about before.
It's embarrassing.
It's my team.
Pick up Sam Howell.
Yeah, well.
Did you pick him up this week? That's so funny.
I mean.
Well, he still threw 250 yards.
Yeah, he did decent, but still.
We've talked about it before, though, as these division games, sometimes they're weird. Like,
one, can we all just come out and say it? Tyrod Taylor
is better than Daniel Jones.
Way better than Dan Jones.
I said it last week, and he proved it this week. I'm telling you, Daniel Jones way overpaid. I think
we already knew he was overpaid, but we didn't know
Daniel
Taylor
Jones
was better than him.
And Daniel Jones had a decent season for him last year. But I think really what helps is Tyrod's not only a veteran quarterback; he's not the best, but I think his mobility really helps because. How many times have we seen Daniel Jones get sacked? He's just not. Now he's not the most. He can move, but
that's one thing that both of these teams have struggled with up until this point of the season. Tyrod Taylor hasn't really struggled with it as much, but sacks.
Yeah.
If you look at the Commanders right now, and being a Commanders fan, it kind of hurts emotionally. Sam Howell is actually on pace to be sacked 97 times.
It's funny
this
season,
because which is far beyond the record.
Which is funny because before Daniel Jones got hurt and Tyrod came in, he was on pace for just about that as well. So.
Yeah, and now Tyrod Taylor's not really getting sacked that much.
Which Saquon Barkley's back healthy too. Yeah. That helps. They're finally getting Darren Waller involved. I mean, come on. That was Tyrod, no picks, 2 touch. I mean,
he's playing really good.
Yeah. Well, and Tyrod not getting sacked as much proves that their offensive line wasn't the problem.
Well, it's not great, but at the same time, when you have a quarterback like Taylor,
He can move
yeah,
more.
Yeah,
it helps.
He's definitely more mobile, and
there's-
he's. I think it helps that he's been there longer, so he knows what it looks like more.
He's just been in the league long. You
Yeah.
know, I don't remember how long he's been there, but he's experienced.
Yeah.
And Daniel Jones, those first couple games, especially this season,
He was
would
just
just
lit. He
sit
just
there
stand
and
there.
just take. He would just take hit
Yeah.
after hit.
Well,
after hit.
that's one thing that's different. I don't know if you've watched the Commanders game. I actually seen the stat. I believe it was on Twitter. It was posted by like a Commanders thing though. It wasn't like just some random person. Sam Howell's average drop back time before he gets sacked was 2.2 seconds.
Ooh.
Which is actually really short. The average time for
Yeah.
a sack in the NFL is like a 4-second drop back.
Yeah.
So the thing is, to be 2.2-second sacks, your line sucks.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I don't really think it's Sam Howell at this point. It goes back to the line.
And Sam Howell, I agree. And Sam Howell, for being a first year starter, he's
been
shown
playing great.
He's shown flashes of making good plays. It's just when you're getting pressure like that,
when you're getting hit, and it's not even just the sacks. If you look at the stats and really break it down, and you look at QB touches, like when he gets hit on plays, like what do they call it, QB contact or something like that,
or just
he's so far beyond every other QB in the league.
Well, and I think
It's like he's gonna get injured. Like
anyone
why
that
are we
knows
not doing something
football
to get a
or has
line?
played quarterback knows, even if you're not getting sacked, any pressure affects that. I mean, even a lot of his you start to force throws and make bad choices and picks and stuff like and throw picks and stuff like that when you're under pressure because you're trying to avoid getting sacked, and in doing that, even when you're under pressure, sometimes it causes other issues.
You can't think clearly when you're so worried about getting hit.
Yeah.
You can't make good throws.
No.
It makes it too difficult.
So
now, Sam Howell, I do think, is playing very well. Considering that, I think his yardage wise, even in a game like this one where he didn't get any touchdowns, almost 250 yards, he's throwing the ball.
Yeah, I mean,
he's throwing it good.
He threw it 42 times.
Yeah.
but
they've been throwing it like that.
Yeah.
Eric Bieniemy is our new OC, and he's been calling a lot of throwing, which is odd because we have Brian Robinson on our team, and he's pretty good. I mean, he's pretty explosive running back, so I'm not sure.
Well,
we only had 8 attempts.
I think you definitely do need to have a balanced offense. Yeah.
Our offense, well, like I said a couple weeks ago, we ran 52 straight pass plays before we ran the ball.
Yeah,
what is that? What is that?
And it's not. Yeah, I don't know. It's the thing is Washington doesn't have a bad team. It's just they haven't quite figured it out yet. And for the Giants, as bad as they started, I don't know. Having Tyrod, and since you've had Tyrod and Barkley back,
they have played.
That's made it. And then
well.
I'll give them too. The Giants' defense has also played better than they started playing at the beginning. The way they started at the beginning of the year. So Giants 2-5 is not good, but we'll see if this may be a turnaround of their season. Obviously, they played the Bills last week.
But a divisional game like
should have
this,
won that game. I mean, in my mind, basically did. We'll get into that some more. When I talk about my team.
Emotionally speaking,
but yeah, and then a division game. You go in and you win again. So we'll see what happens the rest of the year for these two teams. But yeah, a good win.
win
Hopefully,
for the Giants.
A turnaround win if you're a Giants fan. But
bad loss for the Commanders.
You got some things to fix if you're Washington. So
I don't think. What did I say? Week 9.
I think you said
I think
if
I
they
said
start.
week 9.
Did you say if they start like below or 500 or
If they're
below?
under 500 by
week
week
9,
9, they're gonna fire Ron Rivera. That's what I
and
said.
hire Bieniemy as head coach.
hire Bieniemy.
Hey,
We'll see.
Another prediction. He predicted the Stroud.
I did.
interception,
We'll
right?
get to
So,
that. We'll get to that.
Anyway,
Speaking of
next.
bad loss.
Yeah, a really bad loss for a team that we were thinking was going to be really good. Lions-Ravens game. I think we were both picked wrong here. I believe we both picked the Lions to win.
And
I think
we knew Lamar Jackson.
he just had a heck of a game.
We know he's a good quarterback, but this was
insane.
This was MVP form Lamar.
It was,
This was
and he
this
ain't been
was
that
good.
in a while. What was his
Well,
yards
I think the thing that's hurt Lamar Jackson, we talked about, at the beginning of the year, is when he's been in and out with injuries over the past couple of years.
He's been
but when
consistent
he's
this
healthy,
year.
this is what and obviously some of his receivers have had issues this year too. But when that team's clicking and Lamar's healthy and playing like this, Ravens
They're a
are a
tough
good
team to beat.
Very good team.
I mean, he threw 21 passes and threw over 300, or he made 21 completions and threw 350 yards. That's over 13 yards per attempt.
And 3 touchdowns,
Not per attempt, but per catch, which is insane.
I don't know. The Lions, a team that looked good. I mean, obviously you're going to have your bad weeks, but I think the Ravens playing at home, I think they just had a really good week, and it was just not the good week for Detroit.
Now, I will say for Detroit, there was a few bright spots. Rookie Sam, is it Laporta? Laporta?
Yeah.
He still played pretty well. Where's he?
Yeah, Laporta, right. Well, that's rushing right there.
But he's a tight end.
Tight end, you're giving him 7 carries.
He's a tight end, and he's getting 7.
That is receiving.
Yeah.
Never mind.
The thing is, Laporta, for being a rookie tight end, I think he's on pace to beat the rookie tight end record.
So we're back. Sorry.
Technical difficulties.
The camera was, hopefully it's okay now, but we'll keep checking on it. But it's the first time. Hey, episode 5 is the first time we've had anything like that happen.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Good. But we were talking about the Ravens-Lions game. Yeah, obviously the Ravens played a great game. But I think what I was saying is the Lions, they got Gibbs back. Jahmyr Gibbs, a rookie running back, who's looked good. He's not been healthy the whole season so far. But and then St. Brown had over 100 receiving yards this game too. So there's some bright spots here, but overall, tough loss. I mean, you're going to have bad games, but Baltimore, give them credit. They played
Baltimore
really well.
I don't want to take credit away from Baltimore for how poorly I want to say the Lions played, because the Lions did not play good.
No, I mean
they didn't play. They just didn't play good. Their offense was the biggest issue, and obviously their defense. They gave up 38 points, but the Ravens just played an all-around phenomenal game. They looked good on both sides of the ball. They didn't have a problem moving the ball. Did they have any turnovers at all?
Baltimore, that's a good question. I don't think they did. No.
0 turnovers. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, I don't think they had a couple penalties, but really that's it. I mean, the Ravens played a good game. The Lions did not. Now, the Lions are a young team, except for Jared Goff.
Yeah.
So I don't want to take away from how good the Lions are doing because of this game.
And I will
they're
say,
very young.
In the grand scheme of things, actually, this may be good for the Lions to have a game where,
kind of bring them back.
Yeah,
down.
Sometimes it's good to have adversity and kind of figure it out. Especially with a young team like this, you're not in the NFL. You're not going to win every game.
You're not. You're definitely not.
And Baltimore's a good team too. Give them credit, but
I don't want the Lions to feel bad for losing to the Ravens.
I'm interested to see how Detroit bounces back from this. But Ravens are another team to look out for in the AFC.
They are.
So
they're looking really good. That's for sure.
And I feel like they've been a team that not a lot of people, including us, we've talked about, but not real like.
I mean, honestly, this week I think is going to be an eye opener for a lot of people, including myself.
Yeah.
The Ravens, Lamar Jackson played like MVP. Jackson, and the Ravens D played really well.
Well, and I knew the Ravens had the capabilities and had the talent. Like I said, capabilities have been a good team. It's just
they just haven't been able to put it together.
And Lamar Jackson, again, I think his biggest problem is his injuries. But when he's healthy, don't forget. I mean,
he's one of the best in the league.
Yeah, he is, and we can't forget about that for sure. So, again, we'll see how Detroit bounces back. But watch out for the Ravens too. If they got to stay healthy, again, that's especially Lamar. But if they can, they're going to be a force in the AFC. Obviously, at 5-2, they got a really good shot at making the playoffs right now. I know their division; they got an interesting division with Cleveland now winning 2 straight. Cincinnati, I think, had a bye this week, but and then Pittsburgh beating Los Angeles. We'll get to that in a little bit, but so the division's still up in the air. But right now, Baltimore's sitting pretty good at 5-2. So
yeah, both teams are still sitting very good.
And Detroit, even though it's a bad loss, they're sitting very good in their division.
They're still first in their division.
Yeah, very good.
They're still looking like they're going to just destroy everybody else there.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be scared if I'm a Lions fan, and I would be very happy if I'm a Ravens fan, which I'm not. I don't like the Ravens at all.
No, I mean.
Next game, another shocker.
This is a shocker. We both picked. We picked that game wrong and this game wrong.
I think we both picked Vegas to win. This is the Vegas Chicago game.
Yeah, well,
Well, speaking of the quarterback situation, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's the most shocking thing. I mean, I could have seen this game going either way, but with Justin Fields being out, not knowing who was going to step in, and Chicago already not doing good this year, it's like, okay, Raiders are going to win. But no, I mean,
Chicago came back, man. I mean, they Baggett.
I don't even know how you say his last name yet, but he's a first-time starter. He's a rookie,
undrafted rookie, D2. And he just started and won a game in the NFL.
And 21-29, only 160 yards, but a touchdown, no interceptions.
No INTs.
We'll see. I believe he's supposed to start again this next week, so we'll see, against the Chargers. So we'll see how he does. But man, that's
Cinderella story, man.
We'll see. Garoppolo was out. Also, that's another story. Garoppolo was out for the Raiders. Hoyer was in and did not play great.
He did not look good at all.
So
low yards, 2 picks. When your number one receiver, when your number one receiver only has 50 yards, you didn't play a good game, but the number one receiver for the Bears only had 30 yards.
And the weird thing, too, is that Jakobi Meyers, I don't know why he's a good receiver, don't get me wrong, but you have Devontae Adams.
Yeah, for him to be your number one receiver.
Jakobi Meyers, I don't know if that's how many weeks in a row he's been the number one guy.
Well, no, Devontae Adams had 57. Then why did it have Myers
he had more catches, same amount of catches, one more target, and he had a touchdown. So, they're pretty equal, actually.
The touchdown is probably a touchdown.
But
they really spread the ball around. Look how many people made catches.
But they just did not have a good game. And again, we'll see how. I didn't think Justin Fields was the problem, but I still don't think he is.
The thing is, Justin Fields has been one of the few bright spots for the Bears, so I hate.
Yeah.
It almost sucks to see them winning without him, because it makes him look bad when he hasn't been bad.
We'll see how they do this next week, but either way, this is a very interesting. No one would have thought this was going to happen, but
I think it brings up, and I've seen a lot of this on social media. I don't know how much you've seen of it. I think it may actually make the Bears maybe want to trade away Justin Fields, because if they have that number one overall pick, there's plenty of available quarterbacks in the draft. Even if Caleb Williams decides, which he hasn't really been looking that good these last couple of weeks anyway,
no,
at all. But they have the top 2 picks right at the moment, I believe, or 2 of the top 5 picks, which is crazy.
Yeah.
They could get rid of their QB for a couple more good picks and just have an insane draft this year.
Imagine if you need a QB and a receiving core, if you got Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr.
Right?
Imagine that.
That'd be crazy.
But I don't know. We'll see how it shakes up. As I know there was a lot of the teams that had only won one game. I think most of them won this weekend. So that kind of changes. There may have been one that didn't.
We'll have to look.
The Cardinals did not.
Okay.
But other than that, I think every other one-win team won.
Yeah, got a win. So now they're still, though, the Bears are right there in the draft still.
And it's an interesting thing because obviously the guys you have in there want to play. They want to compete. You don't ever want to tank, but at the same time, if you're gonna be bad, you don't want to be. You know, it's a weird situation.
The thing the Bears have going for them is the one pick technically isn't theirs.
And it's Carolina's. It's the worst.
Horrible.
Yeah. So true. That's true. And even if they even if they win some games, the way it's looking, they should still have their own pick. Should still be fairly high as well.
Yeah.
So
it'll be a top 10 pick.
And so they should still have 2 top 10 picks with that. So
unless it turns out that this dude is like the GOAT,
Tom Brady or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you never know, dude. That's a pretty good game for a rookie.
Well, and the thing is, I even remember last week after seeing I didn't watch it, but after seeing Justin Fields get hurt, it almost seemed like the Bears started coming. Even though they lost, like they were. And I didn't know
good, that loser's out of here.
I didn't know who this guy was. And now, after this week,
everybody's kind of getting behind him. The hype is there for him.
I mean, you gotta like to root for the underdog like that. It's just we didn't see it coming at all. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But wow,
definitely will. Interesting game. Raiders are making my preseason pick.
You picked the interesting thing about that too is you picked both of those teams as a wild card team, and Raiders in the AFC and the Bears in the NFC to be wild card teams. And
let's just say I didn't do a whole lot of research before my picks.
And mind you, that was.
Although there was a lot of people that thought that Chicago was going to be a whole lot better.
Well,
than
we
they
thought
are.
they could be. We just didn't.
We thought both teams had the chance, and neither of them have played anywhere near
I
it.
thought Justin Fields. Well, I like Justin Fields. I thought he'd be better than he was. I thought the Bears. I didn't think they'd be great, but I thought they'd be better than they've been. And then as far as the Raiders, I thought they. Again, you just never know, and as you see, it's very hard to predict even week to week what's going to go on in the NFL.
Record,
so we were both
horrible.
5. Just say as a total, we were both 5-8 in this week in picks. So
not good.
I think this is the second straight week too. We picked 4 games differently and we split. So
we're pretty consistent there.
yeah, I think this may be. Was this one game that we split? The Cleveland and Indianapolis game.
Yep.
I picked the Browns, which I'm sorry.
They didn't.
The Browns. I don't know if they should have won this game.
Yeah.
If you saw the end of that game, there was a couple questionable calls there at the end, and
well, didn't they lose or they won on a technicality because the clock continued to play?
No, so what happened is the Browns had the ball. I think it was close to the red zone, and Walker fumbled it, and the Colts recovered. They would have knelt it out. Game was over. But then they called illegal contact on the defense of the Colts, which, if you saw it, I know they said technically it's the right call, but it was very on a game-altering play like that. I don't think you should.
Yeah, why would you call that?
So it gave an automatic first down to the Browns, and then the very next play, a throw that was way out of bounds. That was not catchable. They called pass interference, giving them the ball at the 1, and then they ended up
just
punching it in and winning by 1. So it was actually a high-scoring, entertaining game.
Yeah. I mean, Minshew played very well.
And mind you, the Browns didn't play bad. I mean, Myles Garrett had himself a game, too, defensively for the Browns.
Well, he always has.
Yeah,
he's been playing very well
this
year.
But as a Colts, if you're a Colts fan, you really got to be frustrated.
And that I would definitely be very irritated
is,
with
while
the
the Browns have played good the last 2 weeks, they've gotten very lucky. Last week, they played good against the 49ers, but the 49ers missed a couple field goals and missed a field goal to win.
And they had a lot of injuries.
Yep. And then this week, you get that. So, Browns, you're looking good, but you're also getting lucky. You know what I'm saying?
100%. Because I don't really think the Colts had a bad game at all. I definitely don't think they had a very good game on defense.
It's interesting, too, because Ford started off the game with a long touchdown run. I think he got hurt because I think I heard he's out for a couple weeks now.
Who's their running back?
Yeah, they picked up Kareem Hunt, who was a former running back who they got rid of, but after the Nick Chubb injury, they got him back because he was still free agent.
Which is funny.
And Watson started this game, and he was still dealing with injury, so P.J. Walker came back in, and he finished out the game. So
the Browns are somehow finding ways to squeak away with
I don't know
wins,
what's going on in Cleveland. They're 4-2, which is, in my opinion, way not that they're bad, but that's way better than
4-2 is way better than their record should be.
So I mean, if you're a Browns fan, hey, you're winning games, but I don't know.
Yeah.
This was a very interesting game and could have a lot of implications in the AFC as we move forward in the season. But
it really could.
Yeah.
I think bright side, if you're a Colts fan, Minshew actually had a fairly decent game.
Yeah.
Throwing for 300 yards and only completing 15 passes is insane.
Well, and you got to ride with Minshew now because Richardson's out the rest of the year. Jonathan Taylor's now starting to get back in the flow of things. So not all is lost if you're
the thing
Colts.
that sucks is this is kind of it's not mid-season yet.
Yeah.
Just about there, but it puts you under 500. I don't remember where they sit in their division.
Well, they're in the Jaguars.
So
division.
I believe they're
so
second.
They're second, but I think they're about tied with Houston because Houston's in that, and Tennessee's in there. They're kind of
all right there.
Right in
the
there.
thing is,
but Jacksonville's at the top right now.
I don't think they're going to win their division. They could get
a
wild card spot if they step it up. If everybody puts it together, it's just going to be hard for them since none of these. This is really the start of the season for these guys because they didn't play at the beginning because Gardner Minshew just came in.
And Jonathan Taylor didn't
new
start
quarterback. That's the thing. They all have to get used to it. So mid-season form for them is going to be week 10 or
That's
10
a
or
good
11.
point. That's a very good point because technically your starting quarterback and running back right now did not start the season for you. So, you got a kind of a late start, which is unfortunate, but And it's unfortunate you lost this game, too, at home.
It is.
But
especially in the way they lost it. It's got to be like
you got to move on. And
crushing.
I will say, if it's a bright spot for the Colts, it's not really a bright spot. But how about those? I don't know if you saw the jerseys and the helmets they wore, but they were really interesting. They wore black helmets.
Black on black.
And they wore the blue. They wore blue jerseys like they normally, but it was a little bit different. It was.
Yeah.
There were some interesting jerseys for the Colts. If you can find, let's see. Look at there's the black helmets. Interesting look for the Colts. I know that's not really a bright spot. The uniforms don't matter, but it was. I thought it was watching the end of that game. I thought it was interesting. And hey, at least I finally got to watch the end. I'm not a Browns fan, obviously, but at least I got to watch the end of a game. Unlike last week. Okay, so
can't let you forget about that.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Ooh, boy.
Oh, and now let's get into
your
this.
favorite game of the week. Buffalo at New England. Clearly, New England is back into GOAT form. They're going to win every Super Bowl, and the Bills are back into their normal form, and they're going to lose.
I will say this. I know. I've said this for the last couple weeks. We got to get it together. But if now is the time, if we're going to play bad, now is the time to do it. I want to remind everyone that the Bills, the year that we should have won the Super Bowl, and we barely lost in that overtime game to Kansas City. We lost a similar game at home to New England, and when we came back and played them, that was the year that they actually squeaked into the wild card. And we played them, and we obliterated them. And we got to play them again at home this year, so I'm not too. Although any loss to the Patriots in a division like this, when they're terrible,
when they're one of the worst teams in the league,
trash. I'm just trying to.
Like last week, we dogged on them for like 10 minutes about how bad they were.
Yeah.
They go and they beat your team. Oh boy!
And that week, we obliterated Miami, and then we went to London. I blamed it on that. Now, and the Jaguars are a good team too.
So what is the reason that you lost this game?
Last week, we looked like trash against the Giants. I'm sorry. I know we won that game. We did not win that game. The Giants beat themselves, and the refs helped us out. And then this week, here's the thing. And I'm wearing this old – this is my dad's old shirt from the 90s, okay? I'm wearing this. I just want to remind everyone what Bills fans have been through, okay, since the 90s.
The cycle continues.
Please.
I don't want to make you cry, Drew.
Please.
I'm sorry.
If anyone from the Bills organization start taking stuff seriously. This is not a joke for us, okay? This has been torture, and I know it's mid-season, but
what else do you want them to do?
We cannot keep having
Josh
this.
Allen.
Here's the thing.
You've got Diggs. Who else do you need?
Here's the thing. The defense is beat up, but we got to play better. We got trade deadline.
Kincaid's there.
Yeah, Kincaid, but Knox is now hurt. I saw he's gonna have surgery, so that's another injury. But here's the thing. Offensively, we got to start playing better first half. The thing is, this last 3 games where we look bad, we've ended the game looking good, but we can't just.
They've been losing and had something to actually like.
So
yeah, probably.
This is what I'm saying. Start playing with urgency from the first possession. Don't wait till the end. Start playing the minute you get the ball with urgency.
I feel like we started the season at the opposite with you guys because you guys were too aggressive and players were going to get hurt.
And that's the thing.
Now they're not doing anything.
This is the thing with Josh, that it's a mental thing because week 1 against the Jets, we complained about he's playing too hard and he's making mistakes. Now we're saying he's not playing hard enough. Play hard, but play smart. You got to do both. I know it's a hard. We got to meet in the middle somewhere. I know it's tough, but let's figure it out. Another thing that's really been bad is not necessarily Allen, but we talked about. I know we're not as bad as the Commander's offensive line, but what's happened to the offensive line?
Yeah, your guys' O-line.
That's been a problem because the offensive line was our problem the end of last year.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook should have,
or James Cook,
or
Dalvin Cook's brother.
Cook. You're wrong guy.
But it's his brother. So
it's close stuff. I've seen the picture. I wasn't even thinking about it. Picturing Cook.
But
anyway,
the thing is, the offensive line.
He should be getting more yards.
Yeah.
With 13 attempts, only having 56 yards, he's a better running back.
The offensive line at the beginning of the year. Well, last year was the problem. Beginning of the year we looked great, and that was a big help for us. And another thing, like you said, our running game was getting going.
Yeah.
And now offensive line's starting to look bad again. Running game's looking like it used to. We're putting too much on Josh Allen.
You're not getting better as the season goes on,
No,
and that's
and
not
then,
good.
So that's not even talking about our injuries.
Yeah.
And that's mainly defensively. But even then, our defense did not. I mean, this is a Patriots offense that's looked like garbage.
Awful.
all year.
And they put up 29 points on you guys.
They hadn't scored a game over 20.
When Mac Jones, Mac Jones can put up 272 yards and two TDs.
Only 5 incompletions. Like he
You
looked
made
good.
Mac Jones
Yeah.
look like Tom Brady.
So I think the whole team is obviously we gotta stay healthy, but
I don't know what's going on, but you guys did not look good.
we need to play with urgency, and we just need. I don't know.
This week and last week.
I know I'm on a lot of Bills pages, and everyone's after this is really throwing the blame around. There's so much to dive into here as a Bill, but it's just.
The next Bills home game is probably going to be a mess.
Well, and we play this Thursday night, so at home, it's gonna be. It's.
You're going to have fans with paper bags over their heads.
I'll just say this: just know who you're playing for. You're playing for the city of Buffalo, the fans that have been through so much. Please, let's just get it together. The season's not over. Luckily, this is not the playoffs yet. Now, we looked like this in the playoffs last year, which is why we lost. It's just been inconsistent for the last couple years.
That's the biggest thing.
And you said it, I think it was either the beginning of this or maybe even before we started recording, how the Bills and Allen, I don't know if it's necessarily Allen, but just the Bills in general seem to play to the level of their competition.
Yeah, I was talking about that before the episode.
It's just...
When you guys play a really good team, you play really good. You're right there with them. You look really good. You play crappy teams like the Giants or the Patriots,
and you're
just nothing. It's almost like you're not prepared for it. Like you're just like, oh, it's gonna be a cakewalk. Which the thing is, you guys have been good enough for long enough, so it's not like you don't know how to prepare for games.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's not like it's your first year being good.
There's no excuses in it
because you've been the Bills have been good for what? 4 years, 4 or 5 years now.
I mean, since Josh Allen, he's in what, his 6th year. Now his rookie year was not great, but since it's probably about 5 years.
4 or 5 years, you guys have been right there. You've been really good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think obviously it's not.
It's getting kind of late in the game for you guys to still not have it figured out.
That's for sure. And we got to play the Jets again, the Patriots again, the Dolphins again. We got
not looking
the
good
Chiefs,
for you.
we got the Bengals, we got the Chargers, we got the Eagles, we got the Cowboys. And I think that's the rest of our games, and then including Tampa Bay on Thursday night this week. I don't know. I mean,
we'll see how it goes.
It's just
4-3 after 7 weeks.
We're in an okay position, but we also should be better than this, considering who we've played the last couple.
Who's on your team?
You
have one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Well,
you have a great receiving core.
Yeah, it's
like. You should be playing better than that, for sure.
And this is the biggest difference between the Bills and, say, a team like the Chiefs, okay? I, as a Bills fan, obviously I'm a little biased, but I'll say that I think Josh Allen is just as talented, if not more talented, than a guy like Patrick Mahomes. The difference is the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes play consistent week to week. Josh Allen one week can look like the best quarterback in NFL history, and the next week... that's what I'm saying.
When Josh Allen is playing at his best, he's just as good as Pat Mahomes' best.
Here's the thing.
But the thing is, Pat Mahomes' floor, when he's playing bad, is way higher than Allen's
that's
floor.
what I'm saying with Allen. We're gonna get some of this, but with the whole team, not just Allen. It's a team effort. But we gotta be more just consistent, and that's been the biggest difference because we have competed and beat the Chiefs over the last couple of years. But we have not consistently been good enough to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you beat the Chiefs and you lose to the Patriots.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
so, as much as I hate the Chiefs, and obviously I love my Bills, that's the biggest difference. And I will say Josh Allen and this whole team.
Well, that's why the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl a couple of years and you guys haven't.
And Josh Allen and the talent we have, it's there. You cannot say we're not talented. It's just we got to play like it. You know what I mean? And we got to consistently 100%. Play like it. So I could go on and on, but that's really what I'm going to say. The season's not over, but we really got to not play like this.
Definitely got to play better.
And
if you want to go anywhere.
There's a whole lot I could say, but that's the gist of it. Let's get
on.
some consistent games going here. So
the next one,
and
another
this is who-
very interesting
and this is
one.
who we do end up playing this Thursday night. The Buccaneers, who lost
Yep,
in the last second
Bucks and
field
the
goal
Falcons.
to the Falcons, and this is a divisional game, which was a really a big game for both these.
It
teams.
really was a very big game. I believe I picked Tampa,
Yep.
and
Perfect.
I picked the Falcons, so
picked the Falcons. So another one we split.
yeah.
Yeah, Koo played really well,
he hit
with his kick. He hit that game
hit the
winner.
game-winning kick. Not really
Again,
anything
proved why he's top 5 kicker
Yeah.
in the league.
Not really anything stood out. I think Mike Evans had a good game, had a long touchdown.
Yeah.
But hey, this was a close, low-scoring NFC South battle, and it was, I believe, it was in Tampa Bay. So this is a big win for Atlanta, as it
Big win for Atlanta
get
for sure.
the current tiebreaker with the Buccaneers. They jumped them in a division that is really up in. We talked about with the Saints. A division
It's
that's
all
still
up in
very
the air.
up in the air. So, and again, Tampa Bay's got, even though they don't have Tom Brady anymore, they got still guys on this roster that have
They have
experience.
guys with talent. I mean,
And
a lot of
talent.
the guys still have rings on
Whereas,
the team. And Baker Mayfield didn't. I don't really think he played a bad game
he's
this
looked
game.
fairly decent this season.
He had
at
that
time, you know?
pick, which wasn't very
Yeah.
pretty, but I mean, it's Baker
But
Mayfield.
Desmond Ridder is the first-year starter. Obviously, this Falcons team is very young, but
Very.
they're showing some. I mean,
They are,
some fight
yeah.
and some promise. Drake London, also a second-year player. I mean, you got a lot of young guys. We've
a lot
talked
of young
about them
guys.
before.
Yeah.
They're young.
To be over 500 at this point in the season, they're not a bad team at all.
No.
It's always nice to get a last-second win.
Yeah, in the division on the road
yeah.
like that, for sure. And so,
I mean, good week for Falcons. If you're a Bucks fan, that's a tough
well,
loss.
and it'll be interesting as we talked about these division games. You never know what's going to happen. But then coming off of tough division losses, I know we'll get into it, but my Bills versus this Buccaneers team on
it'll
a
be
short
tough.
week
Yeah,
on Thursday
both
night.
Teams.
It's going to be an interesting game. And obviously, as a Bills fan, the struggles we've had, we can't even though they had a bad loss, we can't overlook this Buccaneers team because they got talent.
Yeah,
they got guys with
they have the
experience,
ability to win.
and they're going to be ticked off too coming into this game. You
the
know,
advantage
so
you guys will have will be it's at your.
we'll be at home,
at
yeah.
home,
And
but-
I think the whole crowd will be rowdy and
Although I feel like
looking
Tampa,
for something positive. To
Tampa
cheer
this
for.
year has played better on the road than they have at home. I think.
Yeah,
So.
because and this was a home
yeah,
game for the
it
Buccaneers.
seems like
and
every home game
you're
they
right.
lose, and
So it's you never know what's going to happen week to week, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. We'll get into it later, but this upcoming week, but big win for the Falcons on the road. That's a good win.
yeah, this is a very important part of the season right here. I think starting next week we're going to start to see the difference between the mediocre teams and the teams that are actually good, because right now only playing 7 games now at this point.
Well, 6 or 7, depending
6
on
or
if you had a
7
bye.
depending if you
Yeah.
had a bye. It can kind of go either way. You can win a couple games by getting lucky and your record will look good right now, whereas here in 3-4 weeks it'll be pretty evident
Well,
to
and
tell.
who if
right
you-
now we're going to start to see
Yeah.
the difference between the teams that have been getting lucky and the teams that are actually good. So it'll definitely
It'll
be
be interesting. We still got a lot of season to go, but things are starting to. It's weird because after this week, things I feel like even got closer as far as like
Yeah.
divisional races
really have.
and within the conference. Like just things are really tight, and it means this middle part of the season coming up, these next couple weeks are really
Very
important, really important for all teams. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah,
to
there's
see what
definitely
happens.
not as many teams that are pulling ahead that I thought would be. I mean, really, you've got. I mean, the Lions just lost, at least record-wise.
Yeah, I mean, in
anyway.
the NFC, you got the Eagles. The 49ers now have lost
They've
two
lost 2
straight.
in a row, which we'll
the
get
Lions
to
just
here in a
lost.
minute. Yeah.
We talked about that. AFC Chiefs are up there, and now the Dolphins lost.
That's the thing.
The Bills lost. So
There's not really any teams that are really pulling
Who
away
else in
like
the-
crazy as far as
it
record
went from
goes.
having like 2 undefeated teams, the Eagles and the 49ers, that seemed like they were pulling way out ahead of everyone
yeah, they
else.
both lost
And
last
now there's-
week.
The Eagles are the only team with 1 loss.
Yeah.
And everyone
In
else
2
is, like,
weeks.
2. It's
Yeah.
like,
Well, yeah. So
yeah, in 2 weeks. It's like, man.
In 2 weeks, we went from 2 undefeated teams to one loss team.
I think that one loss team and the Chiefs have 1 loss too. So
Oh,
there's 2
right.
1 loss teams, but and again the Chiefs, both the Chiefs and Eagles 1 loss teams. They have not looked dominant though.
No, they're all close games.
But again, consistency and good teams, even if they don't look great, find ways to win.
They do.
And I know I've ripped on the Chiefs for the refs helping them and stuff like that, which our win against the Giants.
Technically, them finding a way to win.
And they find it.
Paying the refs counts.
And again, I know you still gotta be in those games. And I hate the Chiefs, but they find ways to win, and something that we've had trouble. And really, all teams have had trouble doing consistently, which is why the Chiefs have been as good as they have been for the past couple of years. But we'll get into that more as our next game. Another surprise game.
Yeah, again.
I think we both got this wrong as well, right? We both picked the Rams. Yeah. Steelers versus the Rams in L.A. and Steelers.
Yeah.
They're also 4-2. They're not 4-2, in the AFC.
Thing, yeah. Kenny Pickett had another pretty good game. I do believe that it actually looked like pretty one-sided until the fourth quarter. Let's take a look here. Yeah, they scored down 10-17, and then in the fourth quarter they came back and won.
But can we also talk about T.J. Watt, who we obviously know is a good player? He won Defensive Player of the Year, I believe, last year. But this guy is, not only is he in there getting sacks and fumbles and fumble recoveries. Did you see the interception he had? Dropping back into coverage and picking off Matt Stafford.
Dude is everywhere. He is one of the best defensive players. Probably in our lifetime. It's crazy because it is insane. Not just the talent, but the pure athleticism.
Yeah, and his brother obviously was a great player for years, but I don't know. He's
looking pretty good.
I don't know. This guy, and the thing is, we've talked about it before. As bad as the Steelers have, I guess every team has had a rough patch, but as bad as the Steelers started the season, again, they don't look great still, but they find ways. They're another team that they're always in the mix. Since Mike Tomlin's been there,
Mike Tomlin just finds a way.
They always find ways to win. They're always above 500. They're always got winning records. They're always in the playoff conversation.
Even since Big Ben's retired, they have 1 year in limbo.
It just seems like it doesn't matter who they have on this team. Even if it's ugly, they find ways to win and are always right there. It's
crazy.
It's
to be 4-2 when I didn't think they were going to do anything this year.
Think about it. We talked about how good the Ravens are at 5-2.
This is sort of the same record.
But you got Cincinnati in that division, which who knows what you're going to have. They're in the bottom because now you got Cleveland. We talked about them at 4-2, and now the
Steelers are 4-2.
So
it's an interesting point.
Very
in the season,
interesting division, and it's a very interesting point in the season for sure.
Yeah. If you look at the Rams side of the ball instead of the Steelers here for a bit, Stafford had a pretty decent game.
Obviously, that pick they threw to Watt
was not good.
But that was just a great play by
it
Watt.
was. Really, I don't know whether that was Stafford's fault or not.
You're not expecting the defensive end to drop into coverage
I know,
like that.
Yeah,
but,
no, you really. That's not not normally what you're expecting to happen. Cooper Kupp did not play a great game.
Puka Nacua had a pretty
Nacua
decent
stepped
game.
up, which I think Nacua needed this. Being a rookie, and he really hasn't had one of those insane games
since Kupp came back.
And to have a game like that again probably really boosts his confidence. And it's probably good for a rookie.
No, it is good. It's just, again, it's tough that it comes in a losing effort for the Rams.
Yep.
But 8 receptions, 154 yards. Kupp was targeted 7 times, only made 2 catches.
2. That's the thing. That's what I think is going to help the Rams a lot is now that they have Nacua and they have a 1-2 combo on receiving. If somebody like Kupp's not having a night, 2 for 7.
Yeah,
have Nacua.
It makes it really tough for a defense to defend, and you got to give Pittsburgh credit because they obviously defense is their strong suit, and they found a way to win this game. But moving forward for the Rams, that's a good point. They got enough weapons aside from Kupp. Nacua being a rookie playing as well, you got options, and it's tough for a defense to defend
2
multiple
good receivers
guys like that. Yeah. So good for the Rams. But you have a things to look forward to.
It's nice for the Rams to be able to see they have options.
Tough loss here, though.
Definitely a tough loss. It's gotta hurt.
Yeah.
The thing that's nice is I believe Kupp's under team control for a while for the Rams, and Nacua, obviously being a rookie, he's under team control for a while. And so even if Stafford retires because he's 900 years old,
I wouldn't say how long does Stafford have, but he's still playing.
He's playing really good.
The way he's playing right now, he's still got some time left in him.
He does.
We'll see how this plays out this year and then maybe even next year for the Rams. But,
if he even plays a little bit like Tom Brady, he's still got what? He's still got 10 years.
He's 35, which is old, but
it's so crazy that Tom Brady played that long.
It's his 15th season, but we'll see how it plays out. But
I mean, with the rules they have nowadays in the NFL,
protecting the quarterbacks more.
Much. I mean, he could play forever. I mean, really. He's not really, but
but he's a good quarterback.
And the Rams have a good team. They're definitely. I think the Rams are better than their 3-4
they are.
record.
And I was gonna say the Rams are better than their record. It's just tough to know. Obviously, Cooper Kupp wasn't there the whole season yet,
first four
but
games.
it's tough to know what we're still. I'm still not sure what we're gonna get out of the Rams week to week. That's again a little bit of a lack of consistency. But Pittsburgh. Good for them.
I'm excited for the Steelers. I used to be a Steelers fan when I was little. I mean, now I don't like them.
Yeah,
but
it's just another one of those teams up there fighting for playoff position in the AFC against us. But it's going to be interesting as the season goes on.
I think you guys might be fighting for them against that playoff spot.
And this is part of why this stretch was obviously we're going to have bad games, and obviously I'd rather be bad now than in the playoffs, but we got to make the playoffs.
Yeah, you got to make the playoffs to get there.
Another thing, I don't want to go off on a tangent again,
Too long of a tangent.
Another thing is Von Miller, who was hurt last year, we've gotten back, but he's barely played. And I know talking to people, it's like, they want to ease his way back in, which I understand, but it's either you play or you don't, because it's like, especially if he's healthy, if he's healthy, let's play him, because I don't want to risk injury, but at the same time, save for the playoffs is great, but we gotta get there.
You gotta get to the playoffs, and if you're gonna just barely teeter around 500, that ain't gonna work.
This was our easiest part of the schedule. It's actually getting harder now, so we still obviously are right in the mix of it, but it's not gonna get any easier. So that's another little thing there. But back to this next game, Seahawks and Cardinals.
I think we both picked right.
We both picked that one right. And I think the most interesting part of this is obviously Walker has looked great. He's only a second-year running back for the Seahawks, looking great. But then the two rookie receivers getting touchdowns for the Seahawks. Njigba got his first career touchdown, and it was Bobo got a nice toe tap in the back of the end zone.
No dragger there.
So I mean, think about it. This Seahawks team also 4-2.
Which is crazy how many 4-2 teams there are.
You have a Geno Smith who has been playing good.
He hasn't looked as good as he did last year, but he still looked good.
He's looked good. He's a veteran quarterback. You got a great second-year running back in Kenneth Walker. You got a great receiving core. I mean, you have Metcalf, Lockett, and then you got Njigba and Bobo.
Yeah.
You got Noah Fant.
I mean, really, oops, I didn't mean to.
You got Noah Fant also as a tight end. This is an interesting. I think they're another team that has not got talked about a whole lot, but could very easily be a team to look out for.
Yeah, the way they've been playing. Well, last year, I mean, they came out of nowhere. Nobody expected Geno Smith to play as good as he did.
After the trade of Russell Wilson, we thought, okay, this is kind of a transition period.
And it was immediate.
And no one really thought highly of Geno throughout his career, and then he came in and last year really surprised people, and they're continuing that. As they made the wild card last year, obviously losing to the 49ers, who not only is a division opponent, but is a very good team. But we'll see what we get the rest of the year out of the Seahawks. But see, Geno's been in the league for a while.
He had 700 yards in 2021, and they came in 22 and had 4,200.
Well, because I don't think he
never really played
starter. Starter. So he came in, but he got drafted by the Jets, and now that was a bad Jets team. And since then, he kind of bounced around. I think he's finally, this late in his career, found a home in Seattle.
I mean, we say late in his career. He's 33.
11th season, though. I mean, that is
quite
still
a bit.
fairly.
That's only 4 less years
than Stafford.
Yeah,
so
we
it
just
is.
called him old. So
I mean, think about it. Last year was his 10th year in the league. So a decade in the league, and he finally had his year
where he played
breaks
phenomenal.
out and plays good. So
I think the Steelers could make the playoffs, and if they do, they could make a run.
Seahawks. Well, we were just talking about the Steelers, but
No, I'm excited for the Seahawks. Goodness, why do I keep wanting to say Steelers?
No, I am too, because
Cardinals.
They're an NFC team, so
so you're okay with that.
I'm a little bit more okay with that, but
the Cardinals have not been looking good these past couple weeks.
The interesting thing is we, going into the year, thought the Cardinals were going to be the worst team in the league. Then the first couple weeks, they kind of surprised us at how they competed.
They didn't look too bad.
But their record is showing that, they still aren't there. They're
still not a good team.
Yeah, they're not good.
They've definitely, if you watch every game, I still think they've played better than 1-6 record as far as how they've played opponents.
Yeah.
But they're still not a good team.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't.
They just don't have. Give them credit the way that they fought and competed. But yeah, they're just not. They're obviously just talent wise, just not there.
They're just not there. They lost their young QB who was supposed to be it.
And it sounds like I don't know if they're going to end up moving on for him or not. I know we got injured last year, but
I don't think Dobbs is the answer.
No, and Dobbs has not played bad, but I don't think he's the guy. He's
definitely
for sure.
not the answer.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
it's tough to say where they're going to go.
It depends on what pick they have in the draft.
Well, because they've been pretty bad for a couple of years now. And after picking Kyler Murray with that pick it's weird
because I
they
believe
were
it was
expected to be
2
good.
years ago. They started the season really good, kind of fell apart at the end, and we had high hopes last year, and it quickly.
They haven't been able to put it together,
No.
and at this point, I almost wonder if they're thinking of restarting the rebuild.
Yeah, and they are already, I think, because
when your young QB gets injured and you're at 1-6 at this point in the season,
yeah.
where do you go other than that?
Where are they gonna go in the draft? What pick they're gonna get? It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
It could work out in their favor if Kyler Murray comes back next year and they want to keep him. Having a high pick, especially with somebody like Marvin Harrison Jr. in the draft, if they can get a good receiver like him, keep Kyler Murray, it might work out for them.
We'll see how it plays out or what they want to do and how it will work out. But right now, obviously, it's just not the Cardinals season. So
it is not.
But again, good for the Seahawks as they're 4-2 and a team to look out for. I think in the NFC, an underrated team that not a lot of people are talking about.
I would definitely say an underrated team for sure.
So, moving on, this was a game that we picked differently. I believe you picked it right. The Broncos and Packers. Broncos get their second win. Another one-win team that gets their second win of the year. And honestly, for me, it could have gone either way. I haven't thought real highly of the Broncos, but they were at home. Again, not a great. Both these teams have not looked great.
Both teams have not looked good. I believe I seen the stat. Jordan Love had 6 touchdowns and 0 interceptions the first 2 games, and now he has 4. Or
I gotta say, what's he now? What's his
look
at
that.
that.
For the first 2 games, 6 TDs, 0 picks, and now he has 4 TDs and 5 picks.
In the last...
Oh, wait, no, more than that. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks. So 4 TDs, 7 picks in the last 4 games. And 6 TDs in the first 2 games. He has not looked good since those first couple games. I don't know if it's him coming down and not playing as well, or if it's the fact that defenses have figured him out.
And the Packers, they're a very young team. Obviously, Jordan Love, this is his first full year starting. Mm-hmm. Their receiving core is young. Aaron Jones, their running back, has been out the last couple weeks. Yep. I think he played this week, but he still has been out with injuries. He did play.
8 attempts. I mean, that's not
but
bad.
Still, A.J. Dillon has getting the bulk of the carries.
He's only played one other game this year. He took a break last week, so
it's really haven't gotten him in the swing of things yet. Well, now A.J. Dillon's a decent back, and he got the bulk of the carries again. But
I'd definitely say Jones is better.
Yeah, they're just different style. As Dillon's more of a power back. Not that Jones doesn't have power, but he's just a better all around back. Again, the Packers are a young team, but they looked good the first couple weeks. But yeah, it's kind of
good now. Yeah, I believe I actually made a couple comments about Green Bay just magically picking 3 franchise quarterbacks.
Well, and I think they're another team that you picked to make the playoffs, which they still could, but.
It ain't looking too good for them now.
And as far as to win the division too with the Lions,
well, now they've got the same record as the Broncos, and not the same record, but the same amount of wins. Yeah. The Broncos are bad. They're a bad team. Lone bright spot for them this year has seemed to be Russell Wilson, though. He's played pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean,
for having no weapons. I mean, Courtland Sutton is pretty good.
It's interesting too because the Broncos are one of those teams that haven't played terrible. They just can't find ways to win games.
No. Well, the Broncos are cursed.
Yeah, I don't know. Ever since they won Super Bowl 50, really, I mean,
they sold their soul to Satan to win the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning,
and he retired, and
he retired, and they have sucked. Even if they have good good team. They still suck.
Well, think about it. I mean, Peyton Manning was great at both Indianapolis and Denver.
Yeah.
And since, well, obviously Indianapolis did have luck there for a while, but
They didn't win anything.
They
with
both have had trouble finding quarterbacks though since Peyton Manning has left those franchises. Russell Wilson not playing. It's just this team is just not.
Yeah. Well,
clicked.
the thing is, if you go here and let's look at his game log. I mean, his worst week was last week, but other than that, he's looked really good.
Yeah, he hasn't looked terrible.
He hasn't looked bad at all.
I mean, statistically, it's just I don't know. But hey, you get a win here. Good for the Broncos.
Hey, probably good for Broncos fans. I'm sure they were crying.
Yeah, you need something positive at least, I guess. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
what else
and
to say about
it
this.
wasn't like they didn't deserve the win. The Broncos outplayed the Green Bay.
Yeah.
It wasn't that Green Bay just played horrible and they just handed the win to the Broncos. The Broncos did deserve this win, and I think they should take that and be happy with it. And Green Bay, you should be very disappointed.
And as far as Green Bay fans go, welcome to a lot of other fans' world where you're not a good playoff team every year for decade.
Yeah, forever.
That's
This is what it's like to have a normal quarterback.
Yes, a normal. Yeah, I mean, and again, I don't want to. It's good. It's good that they've had a good consistent team. I mean, I'm not knocking it. It's just we're going back to reality a little bit here now. You don't got Rodgers or Favre.
This is what most teams deal with.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly right. You're not probably going to be a playoff team this year, and actually, more teams than not don't make the playoffs. Packers fans, you don't get an automatic bid.
Yeah,
so.
not every year.
Now you know how it feels.
Yeah, the refs won't be on your side anymore because you don't have Aaron Rodgers.
So
now we got the cameraman's nightmare. Taylor Swift versus
yeah, Taylor Swift versus
my
Meme
gosh.
Lady, both at this game as the Chiefs win at home. Speaking of another team in that division, like the Broncos, that are good but can't find a way to win games. The Chargers. Chargers compete. Really, this is not a bad Chargers team.
No, I mean Herbert is not playing up to how I think everyone expected.
He's also been
him
a little
to
bit
this
banged
year.
up, but still. But again, it's the Chiefs at home, Arrowhead. It's just
And the Chiefs are amazing this year.
They have
and like
been
you
good.
said, it's at Arrowhead.
So this is a game that's for the past couple years has been competitive. It's just the Chiefs find
Mahomes
ways.
also had an insane game.
Yeah, he had a great game. This was his best game this year.
400 yards.
And the Chiefs, as I said, find ways to win these games. And the Chargers are one of those teams, like the Broncos and some others, that have struggled finding way. And it's just
I mean, Kelsey had an insane game for a tight end,
We
over
both-
175 yards.
we both picked this game right. So,
Yeah.
I like Herbert. I think he's a good quarterback. It's just the Chargers have been another one of those franchises over the years that have just even back when you had Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates and
Well, I think it
LaDainian
goes back.
Tomlinson. You had some good teams. You just have not been able to beat the best. And I can't even necessarily. I know every week I usually say a negative thing about the Chiefs, but this game I honestly think was the Chiefs' best game this year.
Clearly,
their
two best players had their best games of the season.
I mean,
Mahomes and Kelsey. But Checo didn't really have a great game.
No, but they have.
He actually didn't. I mean, 13.
Another thing that's
32
crazy
yards.
is they traded for McCole Hardman back, who was formerly at the Chiefs, was with the Jets, wasn't being used. Traded him back, and he played this week. And I believe he didn't do a whole lot, but I believe he had a big punt return in the game. His contribution, he definitely made some contributions, and Chiefs are still at the top of the AFC as of right now. And
Travis Kelsey's been playing phenomenal since he started dating Taylor Swift. I'd like to point that out.
He has.
Every game she's at, he's had over 100 yards.
And as much as I hate that they show Taylor Swift 20
Like
times a game,
every single time anything happens, they show Taylor Swift up in the press or up in the box.
Yeah, you gotta give credit to Kelsey for as good as he's been playing. And hey, I mean, I don't know if why he, the whole Taylor Swift thing. I know some people saying it's a publicity thing. Some people saying he's just looking for more motivation to play. Whatever he's doing is still working.
That's what helps him. It's clearly working because he's been playing great. He's been putting up a wide receiver numbers as a tight end.
And we
which
haven't
doesn't happen
mentioned that
often.
this was apparently, they do it, I think George Kittle started a couple years ago, that this was apparently National Tight End week or day. in the NFL.
That sounds like something George Kittle would try to start.
The funny thing about that is George Kittle didn't even play on Sunday. He played Monday night. No, it was a great tight end day apparently for George Kittle or I meant Travis Kelce. But also, can I just say that handshake between Brittany Mahomes and Taylor Swift, that had to have been Brittany Mahomes' idea.
Brittany Mahomes. That was
totally Brittany Mahomes' idea.
Well, yeah, because Brittany Mahomes was tired of not getting attention that she
wants to be
does.
In the spotlight, yeah.
And because what was it? The first week that Taylor Swift was at the game,
she looked like she was crying in
the corner, like, I don't get my TV time anymore.
She's like, I gotta come up with a handshake with Taylor.
And now she's best friends with Taylor. All of a sudden, it's like, it's a little suspicious.
And Taylor's like screaming in Mahomes' kid's face.
Yeah.
And Jackson's back there, like.
Yeah, Jackson Mahomes standing behind her.
I saw a funny meme. Have you ever seen that meme with the Undertaker where he's like it's like a wrestling where he's like standing behind the guy. Like
yeah,
they had a side by side of that with Jackson Mahomes.
I didn't see that.
But
so funny.
Anyway, it's another great game, I guess, for the Chiefs at home. A divisional opponent, you won again.
Yeah, imagine that. The Chiefs were still good.
I thought it was funny, too, that the meme lady from last week with the Chargers flew to Kansas City, was at this game. Now, they showed her at the beginning, but then they stopped.
It was all Taylor
It was all
Swift.
Taylor. It's like, we're
more people care about Taylor Swift.
Forget that. So, yeah.
It's pretty entertaining.
It was pretty entertaining.
Actually, she probably, though, wasn't as enthusiastic because they were losing. So that's part of it, too.
Well, I don't know. She's pretty enthusiastic about the loss last week.
That's true. She's just enthusiastic in general. That's true. Anyway, that's enough of that. Sunday night game. This was a game that I believe we picked differently as well. You picked right, the Eagles, Dolphins. This was an interesting game.
I didn't think it would be this big of a spread.
Well, think about it. Was it the same score as that last game? The Chargers, Kansas City game ended 31-17. Kansas City won, and then Philadelphia wins at home 31-17 over the Dolphins. Both teams 5-1 coming in the game. Top of the AFC, top of the NFC. It's going to be, first of all, there's a lot of Alabama players in this game.
A lot.
Tua and Hurts, and then even receiving, you got the Eagles signed Julio Jones. They have Devontae Smith. The Dolphins have Waddle. Anyway, it was actually.
Well, didn't Swift play for Georgia?
And Swift did play. Oh yeah, and Georgia
SEC
too. Yeah,
teams,
SEC.
I mean.
Well, and AJ Brown I think played for Ole Miss. I think that's where he went. So yeah.
Although
a lot of
let's
SEC.
be fair, I mean most of the people in the NFL were either Big Ten or SEC.
That's true.
So.
That's true. Well, we talked about tight ends with Iowa. That's
Iowa's tight end.
Iowa's tight end. But other than that, there's a lot of Alabama, Georgia, especially in this game. Anyway, it was actually a better game than I think the final score. I mean, it was closer than.
I think a lot of that was. Well, no, it really wasn't. I was thinking there was a lot more in the last couple bits there, but no.
I'll say this though. I think while the Eagles haven't dominated, this was actually probably one of their best games this year.
This was definitely.
And the Dolphins have.
The Eagles have played bad.
The Dolphins have looked good, but let's just say they haven't played a whole lot of
They haven't played a phenomenal defense, and the Eagles have a very good defense.
Well, and the two topper echelon teams that they faced were the Bills and the Eagles, and those are the two games they lost. So, Dolphins are a very good team.
Yeah, I don't want to take anything away from them. They have one of the best offenses.
But again, I think this is what they need to go in some games. And obviously, defensively for the Dolphins, they're kind of beat up, but they're going to be getting some pieces back later in the year. So this is with that offense and.
I think this is a good learning opportunity for the Dolphins because their offense is very young.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tyreek isn't. I don't think he's super young anymore.
No, he's been
eighth season. Yeah. But Tua's young. Most of their receivers are young. The team as a whole is a fairly new to being good team. They haven't been good for a while.
No.
So this is probably a good reality check for them, which we've talked about with some of the other teams.
Yeah.
It's good to get a loss out of the way, especially if you're young because the pressure's not there and you're like, hey, we already lost. So it's not like we're losing an undefeated season.
Yeah, exactly right. And so Dolphins still going to be in a mix. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Obviously, as a Bills fan, this is going to be, I think, a rivalry game for the next couple. I mean, it already has been, but we beat them once, but we got to play them again in Miami. Obviously, on the road here again, Philadelphia, they're a good team.
Philadelphia is definitely right now still looking like a Super Bowl team.
I knew Philadelphia was a good team. I think this proved to me that they're even better than I thought they were. This
win is definitely the best on their resume right now. And it really goes to show how good their defense is to hold an offense like the Dolphins to 17
and I believe
points.
the one touchdown for the Dolphins was a defensive touchdown. I think so.
Well, let's find out.
I think Jalen Hurts' interception was a pick six, I believe.
Yeah, one of their touchdowns. They only had 2 touchdowns, and one of them was a defensive one.
You didn't even score one of your touchdowns offensively. So, if I remember right, that defensive touchdown was a crazy tipped ball that just happened to get in the hands of a Miami defender. Anyway.
Which I hate that those are considered interceptions sometimes. Like, I wish they had
I know what you're saying. It's just...
Like, I wish they had interceptions for receivers or something. Like, maybe call them fumbles or something. Because when a receiver tips a pass because they can't catch it...
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't know if it was a receiver that tipped. I think it was a defensive lineman that tipped this time. But
that should be one.
I know what you're saying, though, about if a receiver drops a pass.
When receivers go up and they tip a pass and they,
it's very interesting. I've thought that before, too. It's very interesting, but at the same time, how
do you make that rule? Call it a fumble on the receiver or what?
It's just one of those unlucky breaks. Good defensive play for Miami, but... all around, other than that, it was a very good night on both ends of the ball for the Eagles.
Definitely.
So, and they're now atop by themselves in the NFC.
They are.
So,
the whole league, they're only 6-1 now, right?
The Chiefs are 6-1 too. So.
Oh yeah, Chiefs. Whatever. Nobody cares about the Chiefs.
But still, So now moving on, last game of the week, Monday night, and the team that I picked to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl and was looking like the best team in the league now lost 2 straight. The 49ers, which obviously they've been banged up. McCaffrey was in this game. I don't think he was himself.
He didn't really play very... When he has 15 attempts and only has 45 yards, he's not playing very well.
And he fumbled once, too.
He fumbled. He did not look good. They probably should have sat him.
Yes,
because
I agree.
Then the loss would not have looked bad.
Although he did continue his touchdown streak, so I'll give him that. But other than that,
that's true. He did.
Other than that, he did not look like himself. He still looked good considering, but he's not...
You could tell he was hurt. You could tell he was hurt.
Deebo Samuel was still out. Trent Williams.
The 49ers are still dealing with injuries, so I wouldn't, if I'm a Niners fan, I wouldn't be worried about this game. And it's not like the Vikings are a bad team.
They're a better team than their record
Much better than their record.
And Kirk Cousins had himself a game.
He did. I mean, almost 400 yards.
And speaking of what we just talked about with the tip passes.
I believe that's what this was, wasn't it?
His first interception was a pass that was basically in the hands of both the receiver and defender, and the defender ripped it away.
Ripped it out,
First possession of the game. But then, before the half, it was funny. It was the same receiver and corner. He threw it down the field, and they were battling again. But that time, Addison, the receiver, ripped it away for a touchdown. So that was interesting. But all around, Kirk Cousins played good, and the rookie Addison had a great game. After that really, since that first drive and that first pick, the Vikings, Justin Jefferson's still out. The biggest thing about the Vikings, because the Vikings could have won by more, they settled for field goals twice when they were inside the 2.
They didn't. They couldn't finish in the red zone.
So that's a big issue.
This is one of the few times, which we've talked about this a couple times before on the show. Finishing in the red zone is how you win games.
Yes.
If you can't finish in the red zone, you're not going to be a good team, which the Vikings have struggled with all year.
Yeah.
This week, they just got lucky with it,
and
the
weird
still
thing is,
won
last
despite
year,
the fact.
and the weird thing is last year, they were really good pulling out close games. This year, it's been the opposite. They finally got this one against the beat-up 49ers team, but if you want to, as good as Cousins played, if you want to make a run and start winning games and get to the playoffs, you got to finish drives.
You've got to be able to close it out in the
consistently.
Red zone. Yeah. Now, I do think here, I'm going to say I think the Vikings won. Their offense looked really good.
Yeah.
Other than, like we said, not being able to close out, but as far as getting the ball downfield and moving it, they looked very good. They were very efficient.
Against a good 49ers defense.
Against a good defense.
And I'll say this.
So it was probably a combination of them having their best offensive night, in my opinion, and the Niners being so beat up.
And I'll say this, too. I think I saw that Cousins wasn't sacked once, which is crazy.
Really?
He got pressured, but he did a very good job. The offensive line for the Vikings was very good. And he did a very good job maneuvering the pocket. And even when he looked like he was about to get hit, he was still, we talked about, I think back when we talked about Sam Howell and when he gets hit, how it's hard to deliver good passes and make good decisions when you're under pressure. Mm-hmm. Even when Cousins was under pressure, he was he was just making good throws, good plays.
Cousins has been in the league for quite a while. I mean, what is he in now? 15th? 12th season. He's been in the league for a while. He's been around a lot. He's been in a lot of different teams. So he's played a lot of different defenses. He's played a lot of good defenses. Because I believe he played for Washington for a while. So he's been around good defenses because usually there's always good D in the NFC East.
Yeah, it's true. He was there back
I think after Alex Smith.
Well, because it was when RG3 was there, but he was dealing with injuries and he was the backup. They were both drafted the same year, but he came in and he's been around, and this was his. We've said he's played good all year. They just haven't found ways to win games. But this game
is one where they found ways to win.
Really stood out how good he played, and they won it too. So good for Minnesota. Obviously, a game at home.
A great win for them.
A win that they needed against a good, obviously beat up 49ers team, but a good team.
It's still, I don't want them to think it doesn't matter because it was a beat up 49ers team.
No, this is still
a very good team.
Good win.
I would definitely be very happy with this.
And another interesting thing with the 49ers, and I could even say for my Bills, is kickers. Tyler Bass for us has missed, I think, 3 of 4 in the last 2 games. And Moody, the kicker for the Niners,
dude, he missed the
winning kick last week, and I think he missed 2 that game, and he missed another one, at least 1 in this game.
Let's find out.
And it was that's another interesting thing is
he missed a field goal,
and
an extra point,
So
they would have only lost by 1 point.
Well, that's actually the Vikings.
Oh yeah,
he's
on the other side.
Actually, it was Mood. Yeah, no, he did. He missed 1.
So he just missed 1.
But still, that's 3 of his last 4 in the last 2 games.
It's not good.
And I think it's the same with Tyler Bass. Now, mind you, he's a rookie kicker, but that also affects the outcome of games. And obviously, they lost because of it last week.
Big
now,
play.
that one missed kick probably wouldn't have made a difference.
Probably wouldn't have made a difference.
But going down towards the end of the season into the playoffs, you got to take advantage of – you got to score points when you can. And missing field goals can cost you games too. So he's a rookie. Yeah. He's not a bad kicker, but he's in kind of a slump right now.
There's a reason why good kickers are paid so much money. I remember before this season started, there was a big fuss about the average pay for a kicker was more than a running back. The game is never on a running back's shoulders. There is all the time when games are on kicker shoulders, and teams typically only have 1 kicker.
Well, and we saw I think it was last year in the playoffs when Dallas Cowboys he missed 5 extra points. I mean, that was
he lost them the game
bad. So again, I know Tyler Bass for the Bills, Moody here for the 49ers. They're good kickers. Obviously, you're not going to make everything, but it's just kind of what's going on? What's going on? It's 40. It was weird because my Super Bowl pick was the 49ers Bills. It's interesting because a couple weeks ago, it's that was looking pretty good, and now I wouldn't worry. I'd actually be more worried as a Bills fan than for the 49ers.
Yeah, 49ers I'm not worried about. I would not be worried about.
Still, the last couple weeks, the way it's gone for some of the top teams in the league, it's what's going? Obviously, no team is going to have a perfect. Literally, no team has had.
At this point, nobody's having a perfect.
It was
season.
70 something was the last time there was a perfect season. The Dolphins, and that was back when it was how many?
Well, what do you mean by perfect season? Winning all regular season and Super Bowl?
And Super Bowl, yeah.
I got you. Patriots were right there.
Yeah, they didn't win.
And the season was longer when they did it, wasn't it?
Yes.
So technically,
back in the 70s when the Dolphins did it, I forget how long the season was, but when the Patriots did it, it was longer season. And now it's an even longer season.
It's even longer than that.
So, but it's tough to do and not impossible.
It's getting harder
NFL.
and harder,
to do. So,
especially with the talent in today's NFL.
It's that mid-season thing where it's a lot of interesting things are happening, and it's just teams, we'll see what happens, but it's for some of these teams that we thought were good, obviously they're going to stumble, but we'll see how it goes. But your Super Bowl pick was a rematch for the Chiefs and Eagles, and
Chiefs, Eagles.
Right now they're sitting on top of
honestly, it looks pretty good.
But we still got a lot of football to play, so we'll see. But as far as the 49ers go, I wouldn't be worried, but it is interesting that they've lost. The thing is, that's the thing too. for both the Bills though and the 49ers. Even though the Bills should have won those games, we're not getting blown. I mean, we're still in. Even when we're looking, even when we're looking absolute our worst, we're still in games.
Which against the Patriots, I don't know if that's very good.
You're right, but I'm just saying still though, because we've seen teams just get obliterated, right? And so for some of these top teams like the 49ers, like even when they're down and they're not looking like we expect them to look, they're still have chances to win. They're in game, and so
they're not getting blown out.
Exactly. So that's my point. But I think the 49ers will bounce back, and hopefully my Bills will bounce back too. As going into this next week, that's the first game here
Thursday night, Tampa Bay, Buffalo at Buffalo. Both teams coming off tough division losses.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the Bills' loss was worse than Tampa Bay's.
It for sure was. Although even though the Bills' loss was worse, Tampa Bay's loss may mean more in the division.
More, yeah.
You know what
as
I'm
far
saying?
as playoff implications, the Tampa Bay's means way more.
But Buffalo's was harder to take.
It just hurts.
For sure.
This one, I think the Buffalo's going to win.
You know, I
mean, being at home at Buffalo
obviously
after
as a Bills
a tough
fan,
loss.
We should win. I want to win. We need a bounce back game. It's a short week though, and the funny thing is, I was almost debating on should I do your strategy and pick against my team. I don't. I just think the Bills are gonna. But we just gotta look better. That's plain and simple. I'm interested to see what Bills team. I've been saying this last couple weeks, but what Bills team is gonna show up?
Which one's gonna be there?
I think in Buffalo primetime. I think the fans are gonna be rowdy and looking for something to cheer about. And really, after this disappointing Sunday, less than a week later, they're gonna.
I think it's gonna be a crazy crowd.
They're gonna be, So I picked the Bills, but we'll see. I have no clue how it's gonna play out. We'll see. What Bills team's gonna show up, and even the Buccaneers, while they haven't looked fantastic this year, they've looked decent. We'll see what happens, but. Hopefully we can get together, and I'll pick the Bills though.
Definitely.
If they lose this one though, I may have to pick against them. I'm just saying, I don't know, but and now your team.
Next is
playing the Eagles
Washington
again, who they just played a couple weeks ago and went to overtime.
It was overtime, close game.
This game is now at home for you guys.
It is. I'm gonna have to go Eagles though until Washington can figure out their O-line.
Washington coming off of a bad loss as well. In the division against the Giants. And I think the Philadelphia's defense line is just...
Until we can protect Sam Howell, we're never going to win.
And the Eagles, I think, are coming off of their best win. They've looked even better than they
just keep getting better all year.
So I'm going Eagles, too.
I'm picking Eagles. As much as I want my team to win.
It could be a close game again.
You never know with these two teams.
Especially within the division,
within division and with the Eagles and Washington, because their games are always close every year.
That's what I'm saying. These division games, it's...
I mean, they were 11-0 last year. We beat them.
Yep, and then it went to overtime first game this year. So, but I think the Eagles are just the better team right now. And
Washington's not playing great.
I'm going to go Eagles.
Yep. Next one, Houston, Carolina. I believe both coming off a bye week.
I believe so. And the first two picks in the draft, Bryce Young versus C.J. Stroud.
I don't think this is going to be a competition.
But I think Houston is a way better team. And Stroud looked better. Coming off a bye.
Go Bucks. Alabama, you suck.
But I think, also, if we want to, after this, if we have a little bit of time, or we don't, but our Bucks beat Penn State again.
They did,
a big win for us. Back to this. I think it's in Carolina though, but I think
Houston's gonna win this.
Carolina has the only team yet to win a game this year too. So
and I'm hoping Houston keeps that streak alive.
So Houston
for sure. Next, LA at Dallas. This is gonna be a good game. Two pretty good offenses.
Is Dallas coming off a bye as well? I think.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I know Dallas is favored
at Dallas. A bit. The thing is, again, Dallas is another good team, but has not consistently looked great. And the Rams, I don't know. This is interesting.
I think I'm going to pick Rams on this one. I think Dallas is a better team overall, but I think the Rams offense is going to have a day at this one. I think the Rams are going to just score a lot of points.
Yeah,
and I don't think the Dallas's defense is going to be able to keep up.
I agree. I think Dallas is a good team, maybe the better team, but again, the Dallas is another team that is very inconsistent at times. I know they're at home, but I think I just like the Rams better as well. I'm not a fan of either teams.
I don't think Dallas's defense has necessarily been bad.
I don't know what it is. I just think Dallas has actually had a good looking defense at times, but then they just I don't know.
When you have as many weapons as the Rams do,
but when Dallas has played against teams with weapons like the 49ers, they've looked terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm
going we're both Rams. Going Rams. Next is Minnesota Green Bay.
A division game at Green Bay. Green Bay coming off a loss, and Minnesota coming off of a big win. Now, Minnesota's playing better.
I'm gonna ride that high in Minnesota.
Yeah, I am too.
I think Cousins is gonna have himself another game. Is Jefferson coming back?
I don't think
he's out for 4 weeks. Yeah. He's still got 2 weeks left.
He's still got several weeks.
Yeah, he's still got a couple weeks.
Even then, I think the rookie Jordan Addison really looked good.
And Jordan Love has not looked good.
And Jordan Love, yeah. So
not since week 2.
I just think Minnesota is the better team here, and Minnesota is a better team than the record shows. Even though it's in Green Bay, I'm going Minnesota.
Next, we've got Saints, Colts. Honestly, here I'm going to go Saints. Every week I say it. I think I say it, but I think Carr's going to finally have himself a good game.
This is an interesting game.
I think this is going to be the closest game next week.
Yeah, it's going to be close. I mean, point spread's only -1.
Yeah.
It's in Indianapolis. I think I'm going to go Indianapolis just because even though the Saints were in that game against Jacksonville last week, there's still some things that I don't like about them. Even though I think they should be better than that.
Yeah.
We'll see what Saints team will get this week, but I think Indianapolis, although they're not the best team either, I think they're coming off a game that they really feel like and really should have won last week. Back at home. I don't know. I just think Indianapolis is going to come out really motivated this game to get a win and at home, and I think they're going to do it. So I'm picking Indianapolis. Okay. I think it's going to be a close game, though. I think it's going to be
definitely going to be
really
a close
could
game.
go either way, but I'm going Indianapolis.
Yep. And the next we've got New England at Miami.
Miami coming off of a loss, and New England coming off of a big win.
I'm going to go Miami on this one. I just don't think Miami's going to lose. When the New England's defense has looked as bad as they have, even though they just held you guys, not that they held you to anything, but they beat you.
Yeah.
But Miami's offense is just too good for New England to hold, in my opinion. So I'm going to have to go Miami here.
Yeah, I agree. Miami is the better, more consistent team. New England has not looked good, but at times, especially in these division games, they've looked decent. I think even last year when Miami was good, New England was competitive with them. But I do think Miami's going to win. We'll see what happens here. Obviously, as a Bills fan who just lost to New England and Miami being our division ahead of us, I would like for New England to win.
You'd like for them to win.
But I don't think it could, but I really think it's unlikely. So, yeah.
Next, the 2 New York teams.
Yeah, who's the home team? It says the Giants, but both playing technically.
Both are not good teams.
No, I'm actually going Jets just because I think their defense is going to be the – if Tyrod is still playing –
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm going to go Giants. Is Tyrod the starter? Do they even have starter out yet?
I don't know if Daniel – I don't know. We'll see.
They don't really say.
I'll just say, though, both these teams not great, but I've looked – well, the Jets, I think, come off of a bye, too. Their last game, they beat the Eagles. Giants coming off of a couple good performances. It'll be really interesting. I just think while the Jets don't have a great offense, I just think they have a really good defense. And while the Giants' offense has looked better the last couple weeks, I just think the Jets' defense is going to be too much. I'm going with the Jets.
I want to go Jets, too, but I think if Tyrod plays, I'm going to go Giants. If he doesn't play, I'm going Jets. Am I allowed to do that?
You can do that.
I'm calling
just depending on who plays, I guess we'll.
The Giants win if Tyrod's there. If Tyrod doesn't, well, he'll be there either way.
Yeah, but if he plays,
if he starts, they're winning. If he does not start, they're losing.
Yeah. That's fair. I get. I mean, I
just think Jones is the worst.
And I think it's really interesting. If Jones comes back and he just sucks again?
Yeah.
What are they
going to play Tyrod Taylor?
Yeah, what are they going to do?
I remember when he was in Cleveland. Wasn't he in Cleveland for a bit?
I think he was for a bit. 'Cause he's been around ever since he left the Buffalo. Yeah, he's been, but he's got experience and he's not, obviously he's not fantastic, but he's played a lot better than Jones.
Definitely.
So.
I don't think much. Dude's awful.
So, I don't know.
Him way too much money. Next, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be a good game.
This is also a very important game, I think,
I think this is where we see if Jacksonville is as good as they've been playing, because I think Pittsburgh has such a good
defense. Yeah, but I think it's the same. You could say the same for Pittsburgh's offense. That how good are they? Because they're weak pointed. You know what I mean? Like, so both 2-loss teams in the AFC. This game's in Pittsburgh. This is not only tough, but it's also going to be very important for the AFC how it turns out.
Yeah.
I think the side of the ball, obviously, to watch is Pittsburgh's defense versus Jacksonville's offense. But again, how is Pittsburgh? What Pittsburgh offense are you gonna get?
Because if Pittsburgh offense plays really bad, it don't matter. If Jacksonville only
because
scores
Jacksonville's
10
defense
points.
is not bad either. You know, so
I think I'm gonna go Pittsburgh on this one. I think their defense is gonna overpower Jacksonville.
I think it's gonna be very close and gonna come down to the end. I'm even going to say this. I'm going to say Jacksonville gets a game-winning kick at the end. I think it's going to be close. I just think
it's fair.
While Pittsburgh's defense, I think, is the best group out of these teams, I think that Jacksonville's offense is better than Pittsburgh's offense. I think that's going to be the...
Yeah, they're good enough to squeak the game out.
I think it's going to be close, but that's what I say. Jacksonville wins, but it could go either way.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yep. Up next, Atlanta at Tennessee. I believe they have the same record.
Yes.
It's not going to show me. 2-4.
Yeah, 2-4.
Oh, 4-3. Not even close.
Yeah, actually, Atlanta's got...
Well, it's because they came off of bye week, so it kind of is a little bit skewed.
You know what else is interesting is we didn't talk about real quick with the Eagles and the Titans is I saw they traded, is it Kevin Bard or... whatever, the safety for the Titans got traded to the Eagles, which is interesting because the Titans are the ones that traded A.J. Brown to the Eagles a couple years ago, and we see how that... Might as well just trade Derrick Henry at this point.
Keep trading everybody.
Because the Titans, they had a good team for a couple years, and then they've really not... They haven't been bad, but they just have not been...
No, they haven't been great.
Good. This is in Tennessee, but
Atlanta's looked pretty good.
Coming off of a win.
The thing is, Tennessee has not been able to put it together this year, and they just have not played a single game where I've been like, wow, they really looked good.
I think it's going to be a low-scoring kind of old-school ground and pound. Yes, ground and pound game.
Not going to be a lot of in-the-yards offense. I'm going Atlanta.
But I am too. I was thinking the same thing. Old-school ground and pound game, Atlanta comes out on top. Mm-hmm. I think that's exactly what I'm thinking.
I do think Derrick Henry's the better running back here. But as far as the rest of the team goes,
I feel like there's going to be a lot of. It's going to be like a 19-16, like a lot of field goals, low score.
A lot of field goals.
It's just
for sure some weird score.
19-16 is what I say.
Next, Cleveland, Seattle.
Ooh, this is an interesting game.
Very interesting game. I think I'm going to have to go Seahawks.
I do too.
I've just been really impressed with how they've been playing.
I do too. I think Seattle's an underrated team, and as good as Cleveland has looked the last couple weeks, they've also gotten lucky.
Yeah.
And I also don't know, is P.J. Walker going to start again, or is Deshaun Watson? There's a lot up in the air with Cleveland. They haven't looked bad, but they've also, like I said, barely squeaked out lucky wins the last couple weeks. It's in Seattle. Mm-hmm. Seattle's looked pretty good, so I'll go Seattle as well. But it could go either way, but yeah, Seattle.
Baltimore, Arizona, two bird teams here.
I'm definitely going Baltimore.
Arizona for the... No, I'm not going Arizona.
It's at Arizona. Hollywood Brown, the old Baltimore receiver is one of the only main receivers on Arizona. But Arizona's just not been good. Baltimore come off of a great win against Detroit. I know they're on the road here, but Baltimore, they're going to win.
For sure.
Now Kansas City, Denver. They just
played... Actually, forecast says it's supposed to snow for this game.
Wow. They are in the Mile High City up there in the mountains in Denver. This game is in Denver. They just played a couple weeks ago. Kansas City won. It was actually kind of a closer game in Kansas City, low scoring, not a division game. I think Kansas City's gonna win, but I'd love to see Denver.
That'd be cool.
I'd love to see Denver win. Wow, snow in the forecast. That's crazy.
I'm gonna make another stupid thing for you to write down on your paper there, Devin.
Okay.
So Kansas City is gonna win unless it snows. If it snows, and I don't just mean like a sprinkle snow.
Like it's really
like
got snow.
if it is white, not
on the field,
completely
a little bit of white on the field.
If you can see snow on the ground, Denver will win.
Okay.
If there's no snow on the ground, Kansas City will win. It's all this stupid crap.
No, but it makes it interesting for sure. Because sometimes some of these things do matter.
They do matter, yeah.
It does play a factor in the game.
The starter thing is a big deal, but this is kind of a stupid one.
Well, that's true. That doesn't snow.
Not that Kansas City probably ever gets any snow.
Yeah, well, not that it doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter as much as
it doesn't matter as the starting quarterback.
This would be interesting too. Cincinnati coming off of a bye, playing a 49ers
Cincinnati
team.
has needed the rest.
Yeah,
I really hope. I'm going to start him in fantasy this week. Hopefully he doesn't make me regret it.
I'm thinking, I don't know when.
The thing is, do I start him or do I start C.J. Stroud because he's playing nobody?
Yeah. Well, the Panthers, that's true. Well, and the 49ers defense is, I'd start Stroud.
I think I'm going to start Stroud.
But
anyway, back to this.
I think the 49ers, I don't know when their bye week is, but they've been beat up the last couple weeks. And Bengals coming off of a week of rest.
Honestly,
it's in San Francisco though.
The Bengals have just not played good this year. I'm gonna have to go 49ers.
Technically not San Francisco, Santa Clara where they play.
I don't get that.
But
I'm going 49ers just because
I think the 49ers are the better team, but I would not be. I'm gonna go Bengals. I just think coming off of a bye, obviously the 49ers have not looked great the last couple weeks, and I think the 49ers overall are the better team. But I think right now, as how 49ers have looked kind of beat up, and with the Bengals coming off the bye, I think they'll look good.
I think that's a very real possibility.
That's just so. I think the 49ers are a better team, but as of this week, I'm going Cincinnati.
Next game we've got Chicago at
Sunday
LA.
night game. It's interesting because that new quarterback for Chicago, I think, will be starting here.
Again.
Primetime game in LA. What Bears team are we going to get?
I know.
Because the Chargers, while I would say they're the better team, have not been able to pull out games either a lot. They have not looked great.
As fun as it would be for the Bears to win, I'm going to go Chargers. I think Chargers are winning this
I think
one.
Chargers are the better team, but I would love to. I think the story would be cool.
It would be cool.
I think
if
the story
Bears
would be
won.
cool. I do think the Chargers are the better team.
They're just the better team. I can't, in good faith, pick the Bears to beat them.
I think Chargers are the better team, but I would not be disappointed if the Bears won that game.
Yeah.
So last game of the week, Monday night,
Vegas
versus Detroit. Both teams coming off of losses, bad losses, really. Vegas coming off that loss to Chicago, and Detroit coming off of the beatdown in Baltimore. At Detroit, I believe this is the first. I think I heard this is the first Monday night game in Detroit in several years. I think Detroit's the better, even though they came off of a bad loss. I think Baltimore's a good team, and they're the better team.
Yeah, 100%.
The Raiders. I don't even know if Garoppolo is going to be back.
I don't think so. I think he's still got.
I'm going Detroit at home Monday night. Detroit's going to bounce back and get a win.
Definitely Detroit for sure. Then that's it.
Yeah,
that's all the games next week. There's no buys next week, I think.
No,
no buys. Everybody's playing.
Week 8 already. Wow, we're getting down to this part of the season.
Yep.
About the middle part of the season where each game is getting more and more important. And as I mentioned,
more to talk about, and our episodes keep lasting forever.
After last week, things just kind of got even a little bit closer.
They did, yeah. Nobody. I mean, you obviously the Chiefs are obviously pulling away. The Eagles, like the 49ers,
but still,
even though they're record-wise. But
that middle of the pack especially, very close.
There's a lot of teams that are still – I mean, really the only teams that I would say are probably out of it.
Arizona, and
Carolina. That's probably it. Because even, the Broncos have sucked.
They're still
technically record-wise, they're still in.
Yeah, it's true. So a lot of important games coming up this week. A full slate of games, no buys, as you said.
No buys.
And I know we went a little over, but a lot of that too we'll cut out because we had that technical difficulties. So we're not quite. It's still not our longest yet.
Yep.
We ranted a little bit, but I think this is good for this episode 5. We'll see you next week, episode 6. Talk about week 8 and going into week 9.
Hopefully, our teams perform better.
Please.
Why can't the Commanders ever be good?
The thing is, that's the problem. Is I think we are good, but we're not playing like it.
Yeah. No.
So
at least my team, nobody expected us to be
exactly.
good,
so I don't know. Sometimes expectations are a dangerous thing, though, because when you're expected to be good, then if you're not,
that's true. Yeah,
that's when everyone
like you guys losing to the Patriots. That was bad.
So, anyways,
yep. We'll see you guys next week on episode 6.
6, yeah.
So